Hi. I was recently weighing the losses versus the gains of becoming a widow. I mean, it sounds weird to say there were gains from becoming a widow, but there really were some things that, there's always a silver lining in every negative, horrible thing that happens. So I thought I would share some of the things. There's four things that I came up with that I lost, and but I then on the other side of it, I gained something. So maybe this will help you if you're going through some kind of loss or if you've already had one, whatever your situation is. Doesn't have to be about being a widow, even, but to evaluate your losses versus your gains. So the first one is obvious. I lost my companion, the person I expected to spend the rest of my life with. He was my business partner too. We published a magazine. We were together for 10 years. We lived together for 8.5, and then we got married, and he died a year and a half later. Um, but he was the person I thought I was going to grow old with. And that was, of course, devastating. He died unexpectedly, just boom, just like that. He was gone. And but we published a magazine where we had a tourism magazine where it was all ad driven. We just published it once a year. So he sold the advertising and I created the magazine. And then he did all the distribution and I did all the billing. So it was a perfect two-person operation. We worked out of our home, so we had very low overhead. It was just enough to provide us a living, a decent living. We had everything we needed. We didn't have anything saved. We really didn't save much. So that was the downside. Um, but what I gained when he passed away was my independence. I I gained control of the remote, which is something that a lot of women wish for. Not that's really just a trivial thing, but I did gain my own independence. I've learned to do things on my own. I've always been a pretty independent person, but I was thrown into this role of having to be responsible for figuring out what to do with the business, how to maintain my home, how a lot of tangible things that I had to do every day that I didn't have to do by myself before. So I learned how to do that, and that's a positive thing. The second thing, which was the toughest one, I think, other than losing my partner, of course, was the potential for financial freedom. My husband was in line to inherit $2 million plus when his dad passed away. His dad was 94 years old, and we were just planning to use that inheritance to upgrade our home, to maintain it, to do the needs a new roof, it needs siding, it needs some major things, it needs new carpet, a lot of major things. But we figured we would have this nest egg, and we were going to travel. We were going to take all the families on both of our sides to Disneyland, have a fun trip. We're going to pay off the kids' student loans. We're going to donate money to the schools for their music programs, all kinds of things. But my husband died 5 months to the day before his dad, and I didn't inherit any of it. So there's that. So what I've learned, what I've gained, is an appreciation for what I have and the things that I have in my life, the people in my life. I mean, I've always appreciated these things, but it gave me a new um, appreciation for just being happy with what I have and being content. It was a tough one. That was a tough one, but it's only money. It's only money, and a lot of times we think all that money is going to make my life better, but not necessarily. It doesn't mean my life's going to be better. It's just going to be more of a headache. Like I just heard a quote. Now I don't think I can remember it exactly, but it's like the more money you have, more worries you have. And that's true. It's more of a burden sometimes. I mean, it could have been nice to have a little bit of extra burden, but that's number two. Number three was obviously I lost the relationship with my partner. I mean, he was my best friend at the time. The thing that was interesting about our relationship is that we've both been loners our whole life. We kind of just enjoy our company of ourselves. But so it worked out really well. He was a musician and I'm an artist and also singer. But we had our own spaces where we could pursue our loves of arts, and then we would come together. We worked perfectly. We worked perfectly. We worked from home. He had his little office. I had mine. We communicated. We had it all down to a system where we could just boom, boom, boom. We had a lot of downtime. Our magazine was published in May, once a year. So we had a lot of downtime. I mean, he did distribution throughout the year, but it was, periodic. And in the meantime, we got to pursue our hobbies. I didn't really start the magazine much until January, and it really didn't get crazy till about April. And then the rest of the time, I was just doing the billing. That was a year-round thing, but that was trivial. It was like a couple hours here and there. So we had a great lifestyle. It was really wonderful. Fortunately, I was able to retire shortly after that, so that worked out. But anyway, I was starting to say we had our separate lives during the day for the most part, but then in the evening we'd come together and we'd watch TV and giggle and laugh and talk, and we'd go to movies, we'd go out to eat, and we just had a pretty solid, not really that exciting life, but it worked really great for two loners. We worked really well together. So that was the sad part. I lost that. But the really cool part is I gained relationships with my three grandsons that I would have never had. I have other grandchildren that I love dearly. I have two grandchildren in about 60 miles away that I love with all my heart, but I rarely see them, and I don't really know them that well anymore. When they were little, you see them a little bit more, but they've grown. One's in college now, one's in middle school, and so I don't really see them often, and I don't know them as well as I'd like to. But I have these relationships with these little boys that I never would have had. It would have been the same with them. They would have lived in that same area, and I would have seen them occasionally, but not nearly as often. And on the other side of that is my late husband was not like big into kids and family. He had two kids of his own who were wonderful kids, but his wife previously had abandoned them, and he had been left to raise them himself. So he was kind of done with little kids, and he loved these guys, my kids, my grandkids, but he didn't always enjoy their presence in our home. So my husband wasn't big on having kids visit. Um, they would do it occasionally, but they didn't really come over as often as I would like to have had them. But I had to kind of compromise on that, which is unfortunate. So the positive thing is I do get to have a relationship with my little grandsons, and I'm so grateful for that. Now, the fourth one has probably been the hardest one. What I lost was the convenience of my home. This was our dream home. I love my house. My house wasn't anything pretentious, but it's if you include these bonus rooms that I'm living in now, which are about 1,100 square feet, the whole footprint was about 2,700 square feet. So it's a really nice home. The three-bedroom part of the house was beautiful. It needed new carpeting, and it needed some upgrades, but overall it was beautiful. It had the vaulted ceilings and had a pellet stove. It had this beautiful bedroom. The master bedroom was huge. It had a huge walk-in closet that was like the full length of the room, plus shelves on the end and above, and two racks. I mean, it was amazing. And the master bathroom was huge. I used to say, when this was the first house I've ever lived in where I could put my arms out all the way, spin around, and I wouldn't run into anything. And it was so freeing. And when we first moved in, I remember we were laying in bed thinking, we were talking to each other, and we said, I feel like I'm staying at somebody else's house. I couldn't believe this was our house. It was the nicest house I've ever lived in. And the rooms were spacious. My kitchen was, oh my God, my kitchen It has a big walk-in pantry, and then on the other side of the pantry is the kitchen. And when you open the cupboards from the kitchen side, you can see through into the pantry. But then down below, there were shelves down below there where the doors opened up, and you could put your heavy pots and pans or heavy equipment stuff down in there, and you could lift it out really easily. You didn't have to reach into the back of a cupboard for those things that you hardly ever used. It was a dream kitchen. It had a corner thing with a little uh, turntable thing where I could store all my plastic stuff. I mean, it was just, I loved my kitchen. And it had an atrium, a little sunroom where my birds got to be, and it was looked out onto our beautiful backyard with this gorgeous rhododendrons, and it was really beautiful. It's sitting on like a half acre. It was just beautiful. I really miss the convenience of living in that space. Now I'm in this smaller space. Obviously, I had to cram like 3 bedrooms worth of stuff into this 1,100 square foot space that was already had stuff in it. And then this room, this is like 20 by 24, the one I'm sitting in now, my living room and slash kitchen. It has we had a ping pong table. We had 2 TVs, one set up on this wall for playing the Wii, and it was a really great place for the family to come visit. And then on the other side of this room is it's my bedroom now, but that was his studio. And then the other side of that room was my studio. So we had all these wonderful spaces. It was just such a dream home. It was exactly what we were looking for. And so now I'm living in those smaller spaces, which is fine. And the what I've gained is learning to be adaptable. I mean, I've always been pretty adaptable, but this has been a lesson in just figuring things out and learning to adapt to this new situation and find and I'm grateful for it. Oh, believe me, I'm grateful for the fact that my kids moved in and they're making me able to afford to not have to move and sell this and uproot my life. But there are some inconveniences, a lot of them. It just has limited outlets. So I have to run all my appliances in here because it has to be like my kitchen. I don't have an oven. I have a toaster oven, an air fryer, a microwave, a coffee maker. I have all, and a refrigerator. I have all those amenities, but they they have to be plugged in. So I can't just rearrange things sometimes the way I'd like to because there's no outlet there. I can't move that over there because I have to use an outlet, and I can't do that. And I have to crack my door, my sliding glass door, to use my little hot plate that I have, that my little burners, so that I don't have an exhaust fan, so that I don't get stuff in the air and don't set off my smoke alarm at the other end of the room. It's just, there's a lot of issues that I have to deal with, but I'm learning to be adaptable. And sometimes I want to tear my hair out, but I just say, you know what? It could be a lot worse. And I am so grateful. I don't want to ever sound like I don't appreciate what I have because I do. It could be so much worse. There are people out there who have it way worse than I do. So I've learned to keep my perspective about life and what's really important, because the things that I've really learned from the things that I've gained are my independence, my my appreciation for less, for having less, for smaller things, for life in general, my adaptability, and my relationships with my grandkids. That's been the most important thing. So there's always a silver lining, and sometimes you just have to look really hard to find it, but it's there. And that's my purpose for sharing this, is to help you see that, or to reevaluate your life, and maybe there's a silver lining in your situation if you've had a loss or if you have something bad going on in your life. Just look for the silver lining. um, yeah, so that's my life. And I hope that you'll like and subscribe if you've made it this far. I'm really, really grateful for that. Um, and I hope you'll come back and we'll share some more stories and ideas and thoughts and That's what I'm here for. And maybe I'll just be that voice that you can have rambling in the background while you do something else. I enjoy listening to other people's videos, so I hope that you'll come along for more. In the meantime, I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll talk soon.